Welcome everyone to tonight's coverage of the start of a new season for the Real Good Racing Series and its quest for the Kiowa Glass Cup. Tonight, the Kiowa Glass Cup Series Xfinity Series cars get set to go from the world's last great Coliseum here on Grid Vision. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside me is Brian Britt. Producing for this evening's action is Zendel Collins. Just getting all set to go in the midst of warm-ups for what's expected to be a busy night of racing here from tonight's facility. Bristol, always a tough track to battle at, but as we get set for a new season, drivers expected to be racing hard for 200 laps to start the new season, Brian.
No, it's going to be an exciting one. I mean, of course, I watched last week. They were at Legacy Atlanta in the next-gen car, so interesting to see they're going to be in the Xfinity here tonight, and this is a tough car to handle. I've called races all week at Bristol in the next gen and in the truck. Have not called one in the Xfinity yet, but I assume this car is going to be very, very tricky to drive, and this is going to be a very physical race as well. Of course, the track temp's not too hot right now, 84 degrees on the surface at the moment.
Indeed. Let's talk a little bit in terms of how tonight expects to play out. You mentioned the track temperature already. Racetrack laps already in the 15-second bracket on fresh tires. But track position very critical here. Lane choice especially critical. The top line usually preferred, but the tire-saving line has always been the bottom line. And sometimes drivers like that little bit of both in the middle.
Yeah, 100%. No, you're exactly right. And I think that's the thing that pretty much is to be expected in all three NASCAR cars. I mean, even the Xfinity here. And one thing, just like the truck and the next gen and the Xfinity, it's going to be extremely hard to pass on the bottom. I think that's going to be one thing we're going to really see a lot of here tonight is guys are even though they might be saving tires on the bottom, they're really going to have to overdrive it in order to make passes on, that bottom. Of course, you really want to arc the corners out, really track out to the wall at Bristol, and that's going to be kind of hard to do when you're side by side.
And keep in mind, these drivers just a week ago completed their last campaign, where was Lance Buckshot Ripka, who picked up the championship at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Plenty of intense competition expected tonight for the brand new campaign. Greg Ratliff should say, starting off very quick on speed. Jason Spear, a name that's been familiar if you recognize things from Grid Vision. That driver's been very quick at times, but also someone very quick in official racing, Zach Roethlisberger. One of the highest I ratings in the field tonight, but also when able to keep it clean, can contend for race wins anywhere.
That's interesting. I mean, he's got about almost 6,000 I ratings. A very, very talented driver for sure. Of course, these are some very tough cars, so we'll have to see if he's going to be able to handle it. Of course, this is a fixed setup series. One thing that has been the big deal, or has been a big deal all week long here at Bristol at every track or every car that has been here has been tire wear. Truck, next gen, it has all been about tire wear. Fall off is going to be probably over a second, maybe even more. Also, I've seen a lot of drivers getting warnings about tire failure as well. I'm not sure if that's going to be something we'll see here tonight, but it definitely could be a possibility. We only have 4 sets, I do believe, down in the pits for these guys to play with.
Indeed we do, and keep in mind, the more these drivers even put practice laps in, or that track temperature expect to pick up. Track temperature trends usually around here after about, say, 30 laps, 10 degrees higher with the concrete, with it being so quick around this racetrack and so tight. But in turn, what are your keys to win in this series opener, in this season opener, if you want to get things done early?
Well, I mean, I probably say this a lot, but this track, I think it really is very much true. Probably more true than any other track. You have to survive. You have to be alive at the end of this race. I mean, 200 laps, it's not a whole lot at Bristol, but there's going to be a lot of drivers that probably don't make it to the end. You want to try to stay on the lead lap as well, because if a caution comes out or something like that, you're definitely going to want to be on the lead lap. And if you have to end up doing green flag stops, you really want to make sure you're nailing that strategy, because if you come down pit road and a caution comes out right after that, you're probably going to end up being locked multiple laps down. Very easy to go a lap down this track.
Keep in mind, we're also using the dual pit roads tonight per the schedule. So we'll see how drivers handle the pit entries, especially when green here tonight. This series, 12 races all the way to December 3rd, with the races including here, Texas, Darlington, The Charlotte Motor Speedway under the lights, Las Vegas, Homestead, Miami, Martinsville, Kentucky, Iowa, North Wilkesboro, Kansas once more, and Phoenix. Warm-up is complete. Just about set to go racing here at Bristol as drivers now make their way to the starting grid and all the virtual fans make their way to the stands. Let's take a look at how we'll start tonight. 20 entrants here for Bristol for the brand new season. Greg Ratliff starts off on the pole with Lance Buckshot Ripka in second. Zach Rottwensberger starts off in third tonight with Jason Spear in fourth. Riding at the top five, Tony Ratliff and Joshua Clemens back in the sixth position. The difference between them and the pole, 1/10. George Dibble back in seventh with George Rincon in eighth. Adam Recker and rounding at the top 10, Adam Kowalski amongst the top 10.
Jeff Taylor is going to be starting in 11th place. 12th place, Michael Everhart. 13th, John Wallace. 14th, Jay Craybill. And I did get a correction on how to pronounce that name. He sent me a very mean message. I'm just playing, Jay. 15th, Michael Walker. 16th, Eric Beller. 17th, Thomas Wolf. 18th, Jamie Bray. 19th, Todd Gilley. And 20th, Chris Williams. That rounds out our 20-car field here as everybody is making their way to the grid. Of course, we're going to have probably 2 pace laps here before we get the race underway. But you mentioned it. I think lane choice or your lane position is going to be very, very key here. Where would you rather be, Justin, top or bottom?
Honestly, these days, towards the bottom because of that ability to save tires in the long run. The tough part about being the bottom, though, is you have to be able to clear by the corner exit because it also depends on you getting outside to the wall for the next setup for the entry.
That's definitely very, very key. And, and also, you could get tied up on that guy that's up top. I think there's a lot more escape routes on the bottom, too. So there's pros and cons, I'd say, for both decisions here as we get ready to get this thing underway.
Who's your pick tonight?
I don't know. I mean, maybe our Ripka, when we interviewed him when he won the championship last week, he said he was very excited. This is one of his favorite cars. So anybody that really likes the Xfinity car a lot has got to be really good with it because not a lot of people like it.
You have to be very solid. You have to be very competitive to battle for race wins. And we'll see how things play out tonight here from the half mile. The world's fastest half mile set to go. Ratliff in control on the inside, Ripka on the outside. Glad to have you with us for a brand new season here on Grid Vision. The Real Good Racing Series has action going. We're underway for the chase for the Kaiwu Class Cup. And already trouble in the front stretch. One car up on the apron. The leaders make their way down the back.
Yeah, it looks like the green flag is going to stay out. Greg Ratliff moving up the racetrack using kind of the top groove. Interesting to see that as they go side by side for second place. Ripka and Rollithsberger are battling side by side for that second place position as Tony Ratliff looks on.
For those curious, no, there's not a relation believed between him and Big Ben. But he's up to second already in the early going. 3 laps already to its third lap. That's how quick it gets here. You're talking about 3 to 4 laps per minute.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, 15-second laps. These things are going to fly right on by. If we have a long green run, which I think eventually we will, it is going to go right on by as Ratliff, of course, is starting to pull away. He's got almost a 6/10 of a second gap on the 93 of Rottlisberger. I'm going to have to get used to saying that name because I'm going to mess it up, I guarantee.
It's a Fall Challenge Series, keep in mind, for a series that just started back in June. Its first series season's coming up to a close. 3 different series in action across the fall time alone. But already several drivers trying to settle the pace early in its premier series. Up on the inside, that's the 11 Adam Recker trying to get things working. There goes Craybill up on the outside.
Yeah, I talked to Adam Recker. I was like, are you a wrecker on the racetrack? And everybody pretty much attested and said that he was not a wrecker on the racetrack. Even though he's got that last name. It's kind of just a little bit unfortunate for sure. He falls back to 9th, though, as Craybill and Clemens battle side by side for that 7th place position. Also, we got a little bit further up front in 2nd place, Tony Ratliff has made his way up to second, getting by Zach Roethlisberger.
So it's a Ratliff 1-2 just like that. But Greg, in turn, has already set a very fast precedent. Lap times in the 15.3s. Tony, though, is already a tenth of a second quicker in clean space.
Yeah, I don't think you really want to be this fast. And I think that Zach in the 93 is really showing his wisdom that, you really don't want to run that hard. You kind of don't want to be setting, like, world record lap times out here. You're going to want to save tires, especially if it stays green like it looks like it's going to.
Driver's already getting spaced out. +7 for Craybill, by the way. That 87 is a rocket ship right now in the Chevy. Started back in 14th, but that car in 7th is coming in quickly.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it for sure. He is moving his way closer and closer to George Rincon there in that 6th place position in the 28. And we pretty much, not a whole lot of, I'd say, aggressiveness going on the racetrack, which is kind of surprising to me. Looks like these guys very much have good heads on their shoulders to kind of keep it. They know they have a while to go, and they want to log some laps here. So I think that this is a really good sign of we're going to go green for quite a while here, as pretty much everybody has fallen off a couple tenths already, and that is going to show that how tire wear is going to affect. Looks like Tony Ratliff maybe having some technical difficulties here. He is falling through the field quickly.
And yes, indeed, he is. The 6 machine has fallen off the track from 2nd spot. And the reason we're seeing things freeze down, he went to the apron and let the whole field go as a result of the technical issue. He's just returned, the 6 has, in 13th spot.
Yeah, he is still dropping spots right now. It's back to 14th, back to now 15th as he lets Michael Walker by him. So, I respect what he did there. He knew he was blinking. He knew something was going wrong, and he just decided, I'm going to drop down the apron, get out of the way just in case, because you never know. He's still having that issue, though. Now has disappeared once again, and that is just unfortunate. It's so fast early in the goings here to have technical issues like that.
A very tough break when it comes to Tony Ratliff, one of the early iRacing account holders, more than 10 years on the service. Looking at some of the battles, Dibble trying to get along the outside. He's got the Bill Elliott paint scheme throwback. And holding off Michael Everhart on the outside, John Wallace making the move.
Yeah, I love that paint scheme, that 94, like you said, Bill Elliott paint scheme. I think I had a die cast of that when I was little, and this is definitely taking me back. I mean, Bristol is one of those kind of classic racetracks. I mean, you think about Darlington being a throwback kind of weekend. Bristol is in a lot of ways, I think, as well. And you can tell George Dibble is definitely embodying that right now. As we see, I do believe a little bit further back, I think the battle for 11th going on right now between Michael Everhart and Adam Kulowski there, or Kukowski.
Still keeping an eye on the race leaders, too. Rotzmansberger has not been able to close up a half a second gap, although he's starting to pick it up on long run. Ripka, along with Rotzmansberger and Greg Ratliff, all in the 15.6s. The fall off so far, already 0.6 of a second for your top runners. But look at the lane trends. Some of the passes making things work on the bottom. Others who rode the wall very early to start and burned things up a touch. Eberhard, 16 ones right now, and everybody wants by as there he goes to the wall.
Yeah, this is causing quite a stack up, somewhat of a bottleneck as you see Adam Kulakowski trying to get by there in that, of course, 7 machine. And it looks like they're door-to-door, side-by-side. It's just very difficult to pass when guys are running on that top. Even though you're faster, you have to be able to really track up to the wall, like I was saying before, to get that run. Eric Beller had a really solid run last week in the Next Gen at Atlanta. I'm curious to see if he's going to back it up here. He's getting held up as well by that 14. It looks like the 7 has got by as well as the 4. Oh, problems!
That's the front straightaway, the 91. Thomas Wolf, caution flag is out. And we're under yellow for the first time tonight here on Grid Vision. Let's take a look at the replay as the Barbie car goes for a ride.
That's unfortunate, too, because Thomas Wolf was in the running for the championship last week. And unfortunately, he had an incident as well last week. And that is just going to take his front bumper right off of that car. He takes a tow, and it's no wonder why. I mean, that car is going to be completely toast. So that's a heartbreaker to have that bad of a start to your season.
And as a result, pit stops underway. As talked about, 4 sets available in the pits tonight. But Greg Ratliff and several others keeping the track position at least. So at least some calls coming in very early. The fuel run expected to be about 105 laps tonight, as talked about. So we're still outside that window. We'll see how this plays out. 3 of the drivers staying out, already staying in the top 5 much of the run.
Yeah, I don't blame these guys for staying out. This is going to be, if we have cautions, it's going to be very much a strategy race here. So it looks like Ripka might be deciding to come down. It looks like, yeah, Ripka last second call to come down pit road here. I'm wondering what the mindset he is, the reason why he would come down like that. Maybe hearing from the crew chief, maybe something like that. Somebody speaking in his ear, like, "Hey, man, it might be a good idea to come down now." This is kind of a curious thing to do.
Yeah, on the second time around, we'll see what that decision comes to play for Buckshot Replica. So 4 drivers staying out. Ratliff, who's led all 27 so far. Jason Spear, who, if you remember from Truck Series League action, was also very consistent. Jay Crable and John Wallace. Now for Jay Crable, let's talk a little bit about that 87. He's your biggest mover so far in the early going. The Saviator, he nicknames himself, is actually a medically retired Army veteran after serving 7.5 years, as well as a U-Haul wheeled vehicle mechanic, and getting out of the military in turn with a medical retirement as an E5 sergeant. Military veteran, also with some success in open competition and official racing action, looking to try and move forward tonight.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's definitely got a good race car. Very talented driver, it seems to be, in that 87. Like you said, he's been big moving through the field. We'll have to see what he's capable of here tonight. As I do believe we should be getting the call here very soon to have the pace car lights go out and 1 to go here on the caution.
Keep in mind, he does have rear-wheel action, too, to add to that. Have you ever heard of a series called the IMCA and its Sport Compact Division?
I have not. I do not believe.
Have you ever seen a bone stock race on the dirt?
I have not.
Well,
it sounds like I need to.
Well, he's done both. He's done both.
I'm sure that definitely translates onto the sim as well.
Funnily enough, a lot of the short track racers, at least locally here, have an iRacing presence. Meanwhile, Greg Ratliff getting a push from Crable, coming to the green flag, back underway. The fresh tires, row 3 on back. Redcon, keep in mind, did take fuel only under the caution.
That's an interesting decision. I think if we're going to go down there and lose the track position, or you might as well take tires, but it looks like he didn't lose much track position. We see a lot of guys getting backed up here. See the 90 of John Wallace. I thought he was going to fall back, but it looks like he's holding on to position pretty good right now.
Trouble turn 4. 1 car spun at the back. Chris Williams, but did not bring the caution out. See that on your track map. Williams returning back to the track on the bottom of the circuit and nearly just got hit by the battle for 7th position.
Yeah, 3 wide does not work at Bristol, and he definitely was getting ready to find that out, as, of course, he has saved the race car.
Some aggressive battling amongst those on older tires. Wallace keeping to the wall. 1 car shoved to the wall. Adam Recker. Ratliff running away from the Hornet's Nest, but here comes Roethlisberger, the first of those who took tires, already back to 3rd.
Looking really quick. Tires are so important in this racetrack, and when we saw so much fall off as it was.
Trouble front straightaway. Michael Everhart has spun it around in the 14. No caution yet. Eric Beller is also pit under green. We stay green with a car on the apron.
I wonder if Beller possibly had a penalty or something like that he had to serve under green, but you see the 14 right there of Michael Everhart. Just unfortunate to say the least, but he looks like he saved it. Does have a little bit, I do believe, right front damage
He did spin it around a second time just after the replay. He's got mandatory damage repairs and has to come down under green.
Wow, just sad to have problems this early in this race.
Especially for the start of a brand new series season. Keep in mind, here comes the Hornets' nest of battles again. Right now, this is 6th on back. Rincon on the fuel only. John Wallace old tires. Crable on old tires. Todd Gilly looking to try and find a way around all this. He is the 4th driver on fresh tires.
Yeah, fresh tires don't mean a whole lot whenever you got a lot of cars that are in front of you. I mean, even though it does help you with your maneuverability, you still have to pass. It's one thing to catch, it's another thing completely to pass.
Looks like Gilly Alonso's electing to choose the top line in the Kailu glass machine. But lots of checkups on that top line. It's going to be the difficult part because it looks like his preference is high, but the traffic is there. For the race lead, Roethlisberger on the fresh tires, zips by the 5. And Zach Roethlisberger showing the power of 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, he's over 2/10 faster than Michael Walker. And, of course, he almost a half a second faster than Greg Ratliff. I mean, over half a second, I should say. That 93 surging ahead, and it's probably going to pull away here.
And that's going to be the difficult part. You know who's in second, though? That was Michael Walker the second. You know what else is only going on? This grouping. Gilly trying to get around the outside, inside line. That's Ripcon taking advantage of the poor line for Gilly. The bottom is starting to come in big. Tony Ratliff doing the same.
Well, I mean, Ripka won last week at Legacy Atlanta, a track that really takes a lot of tire wear to be able to manage resources, and I think he's really showing that here tonight at Bristol as well, that he knows what he's doing in that 52 machine. Now, he just has to get up there to Zach, though, and the lead, of course, Roethlisberger. Looks like Jay Crabbit
Trouble.
loses a spot.
Yes, indeed. Crable indeed has spun around in the 87. No caution. We stay green. He's rejoined in front of the leader. Let's take a look at the spin. And that's the 28 of George Rincon.
Yeah, that's a big hit, too. I mean, unfortunate to see that kind of damage on that 87 machine. No caution going to come out here to save him as well. He's still out on the racetrack, has now gone a lap down.
But I was just about to mention, one of the drivers we didn't talk too much about is right up to the leaders. You see the 87 being passed by most of those leaders now. But you know who's up to second, who is battling in the teens before the caution? Michael Walker the second is up 13 spots and is catching up to the leader.
He's running really good. He's got about 0.3 of a second gap up to Roethlisberger. Another driver, is doing really well, Adam Recker. I mean, I think he was outside of the top 5 before that earlier caution. He's up to 3rd now, as well as Tony Ratliff. I mean, look at he's in 7th place. The 6th machine had that technical issue, dropped through the field like a rock because of it. He's back up to 6th.
See him trying to battle the inside rather with Jason Spear up high. Gilly also trying to take advantage. So most of those who stayed out dropping back quickly as a result of staying out for the first caution. Now what's the play here? Because obviously those on the fresh tires are going to have that massive advantage on speed by half a second a lap. What do you do when you basically need to hope for bad luck of others?
No, that's essentially what you're going to have to do. I mean, you got a John Wallace. He's going to be going a lap down very soon. He's going to be hoping and praying that some sort of caution or something comes out. John Wallace, if I'm not mistaken, stayed out and was like 4th on that restart. He's all the way back in 14th right now. Lost a ton of positions. And, like you said, you have to almost hope that something goes wrong. Rincon, he of course had some contact there with Craybill, but he's also back in 13th as well. He only took gas. But we are starting to see a lot of racing on the racetrack still, though. But, yeah, I think a lot of guys are really going to be hoping for some sort of caution to kind of get the strategy back on their side.
Rincon, you could also throw in the mix. He took fuel only to save the set. So we take a look back to Spear. And normally we've seen him more so when it comes to his truck in the Spear Motorsports machine a couple months ago. He's holding his own on the strategy, but he too has fallen off to the 16-second bracket. In fact, he's slower than Rincon and Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of fall off. I think a lot more than I even suspected here in this car. I mean, this is just such a difficult car already to drive. I mean, it does not. It's not very aerodynamic compared to what you'd see in the next gen. But I'm telling you, Jay Crabio, I'm surprised he's still on the racetrack right now. I mean, he's hitting 16.5s, almost 16.6s. He is well off the pace, and could be a driving hazard here.
See some of the onboards right now and how you attack the bottom of the racetrack. And keep in mind, this is an art form where if you don't actually practice this, it's easy to not do well on this approach, to miss the bottom of the track and in turn cook the tires. It takes a rhythm to get this right.
Oh, no, definitely, 100%. You have to be very smooth on this racetrack. This is not like other short tracks as well. I mean, you're really not doing much heavy braking. You just have to be pretty much perfect on your inputs. Very, I think, deliberate on what you do with that wheel and pedals. I mean, pretty much everything has to work together. And you know, only really good drivers really know this place very well. I mean, it's kind of not as intuitive as one would think. Like other short tracks, you kind of mash the brake and press the gas off the corner. This is kind of a little bit different. There's a little bit more of a subtle art to this.
And Keegan Leahy in particular utilized a lot. So in recent years, half a lane up to where, say, the 19 is right now, Todd Gilly, who's made the pass on Wrecker. That's what he's actually utilizing now with the right side tires only, because that essentially gets you that little bit of speed right as that tiny bit of progressive banking goes up, but also keeps some of that tire saving impact from the left side. If you go any higher up than where Gilly's been running most of this run, that's where you get to burning the right front tire off territory.
And he's looking really good. I mean, lap time wise, he's running some of the faster laps on the racetrack. It looks like for the majority of the drivers out there, they're in that 16-second range. As we see Adam Wrecker battling, I do believe, with Greg Ratliff for that 6th place position. But for the most part, everybody's in that 16-second bracket. I'm wondering how much more fall off we're going to see here.
The fall off right now for those who stayed out in the 16.7. Some scrapes to the wall for Wrecker. Drop it on by Jeff Taylor there. Jeff Taylor in the 24 machine, by the way, now up to 7th position, a race high for the Jeff Gordon paint scheme.
Yeah, 24 is looking pretty good. I mean, running some really good laps compared to the guys around him at the moment. Adam Wrecker, though, is not looking good right now at all. He is, I think, possibly in danger of falling outside of the top 10 as he is now back in 9th. He's hitting 16.8s right now. That is very slow.
It looks like Wrecker may have damaged the right front suspension. This is a car with the new damage model as of a couple weeks ago. And before, you can make some contact here at Bristol, maybe get away with it. Now you hit the right front hard enough, you break the suspension to the tie rod.
Oh, yeah, something's definitely wrong. I mean, he hit a 17-second lap. That's not something you usually see at a track like this. I really am liking what I'm seeing. We were just watching Jeff Taylor. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him. He's running some very good laps. He's about a 10th faster than the guy in front of him who was Todd Gilly. But one of the fastest cars on the track, though, is Zach Rollisberger. He has looked insanely quick. We talked about Michael Walker, who was really starting to challenge him a little bit ago. That is no longer the case. Over 3 seconds is the gap now for the lead.
Like I said, if he can keep it clean, he can be very quick. He showcased this a lot in official action, showcasing that over Walker. But Walker also has 3 seconds over Ripka with how things have played out. And here's the thing when it comes to Ripka. Remember, Ripka chose to pit the second time around, so he had to lose track position to get on the equal set of the tires.
Well, it seemed like it worked out for him. I mean, that's kind of surprising to say the least, considering he had to go through a lot more traffic than the top 2 did, I do believe. So, you know, it seemed like it worked out for him. I mean, he's up in 30. He's definitely showing that he's got speed. I think he's really going to want to have that time, that gap between him, Michael Walker, and Rollisberger to kind of disappear. Of course, we are seeing a lot of traffic around Ripka right now, as I do believe he's getting by some lap cars.
Lots of traffic to deal with, and how do you handle the navigation of traffic, especially when it's 2x2 like this?
Oh, it's just patience. And you can see this 14, Michael Everhart, he is struggling so much right now. And a lot of these guys that are a lap down are struggling to get by him. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, 3 wide there.
Well, that's not what you want to see with lap traffic. Everhart avoid significant contact. He was able to fix the car after a minute's worth of damage under green. Now side by side, Rincon trying to get lapped on by Tony Ratliff. And that's another part of the balancing act. When there's equal footing on speed, makes it even more difficult.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, these guys have got to be very, very frustrated. Ratliff, though, has had a significant recovery. We talked about him before. He had that technical difficulty, fell all the way back, I do believe, to pop 18th, I think. He fell way back and has worked his way back up to 4th. It's really showing some good pace. He's showing a lot of patience as he's got by a lot of this lap traffic here. Of course, not that far back from Ratliff, though, is Todd Gilly. Gilly has looked really good. He's up to 5th. Oh, somebody in the wall. I think that was Chris Williams there in the 21, who was 2 laps down.
No caution, we stay green, but the right side does have a lot of scrapes on it for the Williams Racing Inc. machine. By the way, the race leader, well, he's coming in fast. How fast? About 3/4 of the field is within 5 seconds of losing a lap to the 93.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, he is going to probably lap up to possibly, he might lap everybody, to be completely honest with you. I mean, he is just looking insanely fast compared to everybody else. Last time by, he was 2/10 or more faster than Michael Walker. But keep in mind, though, Justin, we talked about how hard it is to pass. Well, Roethlisberger is going to have to try to get by this lap traffic, and that's going to hold him up. That could bring Walker back into the fight.
Yeah, that could make things interesting, especially if you choose the right lap of the strategy. He is now going to have to start dealing with lap cars, though, again. Greg Ratliff is up ahead. He also has drivers losing a second lap here. 2x2 up in front of them a couple times. George Dibble, Chris Williams, Eric Beller, Kubakowski, Michael Everhart, all to deal with for your race leader, as there goes Wallace, who loses second lap tonight.
Yeah, John Wallace has got 83 laps on his tires. So, I mean, he's got to be just not having a good time right now. I mean, we've seen it in the Cup car. We've seen it in the truck. If you go 80 laps on tires, you're struggling. It don't matter what car you're in at Bristol. If you're going that far, you're going to be having a tough time. The car's just not going to handle it. Would not be surprised if the percentages of tire wear are very, very, just very high right now. As we see Todd Gilly actually getting past for 5th place right now by Jeff Taylor.
See that up on the pylon. Up on the wall goes Everhart right by the leader. And it looks like pit stop time is underway, in fact. There goes Adam Recker. And pit stops are underway. Here's the thing. Adam Recker cannot make it to the end on fuel here.
That's definitely an important fact for sure. I think a lot of drivers are going to probably try to make it at least another 10 or 15 laps, because that's when the window opens. But you're going to want to get as much as you can out of this set of tires, because you don't want to pit often here at Bristol. You don't want. I don't think you really want to make this a 2-stop race. I think you want to make it 1. Looks like a battle for second.
Lance Ripka has reeled in Michael Walker. Making the pass quickly goes Buckshot Ripka. And that was after 3/10 picked up in a lap. Michael Walker has now fallen off on speed by 6/10 to the leader.
I think Walker has been burning his equipment up. I mean, 16.9 last time by. He is very much off the pace. Looking like he's trending more tight than anything. I saw him really getting close to the wall. Looks like he's having to lift a little bit. Lift a little bit later on the exits of the corner. So he is definitely struggling right now, while Ripka is really coming into his own right now. I mean, hitting some pretty good laps, but he's still nowhere near as fast as Roethlisberger right now.
Still setting a solid margin within 1/10 of that. As there's your race leader starting to lap more cars. That's once again being lapped Crabo. And we're just about inside the window to make it on fuel. Expecting drivers to go all the way to the end of the tanks. That would bring us to under the final third of this race. Next up on the docket is Adam Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, I mean, and Kulikowski wasn't that slow the last time by, but it looks like he's very much struggling on consistency. So I do suspect he's going to end up going a lap down. But how hard does he race for this lead lap? And I think that's going to be a big thing that we're going to really want to keep an eye on, because I feel like going a lap down here is not going to be what you want to have happen, but at least he would be the lucky dog. But how long would he be the lucky dog? I mean, Todd Gilly is not that far ahead of the 7.
Yeah, just about 3 car lengths, in fact, and he's actually trying to pass by, or try not get passed by, Eric Beller. Now, keep in mind, Beller, 60-lap old tires, had to pit under green as talked about for a penalty. He's still got solid pace. That was enough to already lose up a couple tenths of a second.
I'll tell you who's showing some really good pace right now is that 5th place driver, the 99 of Joshua Clemens. He's actually running some of the faster laps on the track right now, catching up quickly to Tony Ratliff. Last time by 16.429. That was faster than the leader. That was the fastest lap on the track that time by.
Low scrape to the wall for the 99 in sim, even though he's running the 88 paint scheme on the racetrack. But looking at the average in the top last 15 laps, he is within a quarter of a tenth of a second to Zach Roethlisberger's average lap time. So he seems to be a better long run driver than he is short run.
And that's what you need, especially when we're having it go this green right now. I mean, I think we've only had 2 cautions based on a wreck here so far, and very long run here, over 70 lap.
Looking back at Ripka, not been able to close up the deficit of 7.5 seconds, but has been able to start picking up a bit of a time with the leader dealing with some traffic. Again, the defending Cup Series champion from its first ever season. And keep in mind, this series just got underway in late June. Has already expanded to 20 cars on average per race. Been looking strong in its first going. But it's time for the first going for some to the pit lane on cue. Greg Ratliff and Jason Spear are in.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to pit. I would go a little bit further, though, maybe, just to kind of make sure that I have newer tires later. Because, of course, I talked about we had caution. So, Roethlisberger, Ripka, these guys that pitted on that caution, they have about 70 so laps on their tires right now. I would want to maybe pit with maybe in the next 10 laps and kind of split that run in half, because you don't want to struggle more later in the run, right?
Indeed, and I'm very curious how some of these entries are going, because with there being only 20 cars, in theory, you would only have pit stops on the front straightaway, correct?
That's a good point. But then again, even in officials, I mean, I don't think it really matters how many cars you have. I'm pretty sure you're going to have to use both pit lanes, because in the officials, that's kind of been the I think, tradition here as of late, that you have to use dual pit roads. Yeah,
and keep in mind, there is no blue line for that single pit road that we normally see in some of those officials. Hence the clarification of dual versus single that we see come into play on some of those entries. Todd Gilly is in. Redcon is taking an extended pit stop service. Tony Ratliff getting passed by Clemens. There's the 19. And as you can see, majority of drivers trying to take things quick on the pit stop cycle. A couple drivers I've noticed, though, have taken that pit stop entry on the backstretch. And that can cost you some time if you don't have to use the backstretch. That's the emphasized point of the dual pit roads.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
Trouble. Spin, Jason Spear from 11th. The 83 spinning in front of the leader. No caution yet, but Spear brings it out as he backs up with the truck from this.
And that is going to change a lot here. Roethlisberger going to be lucky that he did not pit. Ripka, Clemens, all these guys that stayed out this long going to be very, very happy, considering the rest of the field is 2 laps down or more. So this is going to lock pretty much the majority of the field lap down.
You can understand the reason for the backup. It's the tough part of going on the apron and then back onto the racetrack. Nearly got hit by a car off the pit lane. But with the time of this caution, just 6 cars are on the lead lap. Everybody else is 2 down or more.
Yeah, this is going to be crazy to see how this kind of plays out. I mean, but cautions, a lot of times breed cautions. I think this is a really good time to take a step away and pay some attention to our sponsors, Justin.
Indeed. On cue, let's take a break. When we come back, discussions on the strats and more. Just past halfway, you're watching Grid Fishing for coverage of the Kaiwu Glass Cup, the Fall Challenge.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Real Good Racing League. Coming up to the restart this time by, things interesting as a result of the time of the caution flag. Only 3 cars took wave rounds to get to 1 down. Zach Roethlisberger, 74 laps led, brings us back to green here at Bristol.
And at the moment, only 6 drivers on the lead lap as Roethlisberger drives away at the moment. Ripka, though, very close. He is very good on the longer runs. I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to maybe have something for that 93 machine.
Black flag Jason Spear off the start. It's the cause of the caution, remember. He's already 2 down. Tony Ratliff, meanwhile, up at the front, the 52 getting pressurized by him. Clemens lost a lot of ground off the going. We talked about not as good on the short run. He's dropped back nearly a 1.5 seconds on short to these 2.
Yeah, I think he's given up that short run pace to gain it on the long run. And it seemed like he was very fast on the long run. I mean, he was almost a 10th or so faster than the rest of the field. Of course, now he is ideally trying to hold off Michael Walker. Walker was it's kind of the opposite was true for Walker. He was good on the short run.
You could argue even more so the middle run than the short. But the long run was the major part. Walker again almost into the wall, though, and here's the tough part. He is the only one using the top line specifically on corner entry to exit.
not surprising to see that, being very good on the middle run. Kind of, you expect a diamond line at this track. Really, you want to straighten out the corner as much as you can, or straighten out the exit, I should say. And I think that's what that line really does for that 22.
Talked about Jeff Taylor being the last on the lead lap. Currently in a solid buffer, but losing ground because he's already been passed by one lap car. You see that blue 94 in between them.
Yeah, it looks like Jason Spear has left the vehicle as well. He is now 5 laps down. We have still, like you said, 6 drivers on the lead lap at the moment. Joshua Clements battling with the 22 of Michael Walker for 4th place. Looks like Walker is going to get the pass completed.
Nicely done on the bottom, and it looks like Walker trying to get the bottom established. And again, we talked about it where he was pushing hard. It's almost like he's going too deep on the entry with how he's entering these corners to try and get the bottom working, hence why it's not working.
Yeah, this is a track you definitely do not want to overdrive, especially in this car. I mean, specifically this car. I'll tell you what, Tony Ratliff's been looking really strong on the short run, has been putting some pressure on Lance Ripka here for this 2nd place position. He's separated by about 3/10. But of course, the 6 has had his fair share of trials here tonight, but it looks like he has definitely recovered well.
And all of them trying to utilize the bottom of the racetrack, but very slight nuances between them. You have Ripka trying to go a little bit lower through the apexes. You have Roethlisberger trying to go a little bit higher than that diamond line off the corner exit.
I've been really impressed with how green this race has been. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of racing this week at Bristol, and it has not been this clean, I'll tell you that. And I wonder if it maybe has something to do with this Xfinity car, just considering it's already kind of a car that I think that really rewards cautiousness, right?
Especially at a track like this where you pick up too much damage, you become a modified. Speaking of damage, the 7 car doesn't have a TV panel. And the Adam Penny throwback just got passed by both Ratliff and Gilly. Gilly right now is in the lucky dog spot, by the way. So that raises the stakes even more so to keep it clean.
Yeah, 100%. Also, he's got, but he's not secure in that lucky dog spot. I mean, Greg Ratliff's about 3/10 back from him, and Gilly's having to fight side by side with another driver. I do believe that is the 87 of Craybill there.
I was about to say, though, you know how you lose that lucky dog spot even more so to unsecure it? Touching a car, or
true.
better yet, spinning around off a car.
And, Gilly's kind of just in a bad spot. I mean, he's got, John Wallace ahead of him, and Wallace has been struggling all race. I mean, Craybill's been struggling, so Gilly's probably pretty frustrated. Oh, big loose condition there off the corner from the 19.
Trying to pass by the 6th place car at Jeff Taylor. Gilly looking to clear himself. Now does clear on the rotation of the entry. But that's the tough part when you got lap cars battling lead lap cars.
Yeah, for sure. No, that was almost an accident waiting to happen. Like you said, there's a lot of obstacles out here, whether you're on the lead lap or not. As Gilly closes up on, of course, the 90. And John Wallace has just been struggling this race. Has not been a great night for the 90. Which, I mean, this whole season, though, is going to feature a lot of different racetracks. So Bristol just might not be one that suits some of these guys. So we'll have to wait and see how they fare at Texas.
Yeah, and keep in mind that's a track that can be tricky even with the 1.5 miles because of the corner banking difference in 1 and 2 to 3 and 4. We'll talk about that more so when that comes to be next week. Roethlisberger continuing to pull away. Part of the Legacy Academy. That started up its formation of running about a month ago now, Brian. And he's amongst those that were brought on in as one of potential recruits to bring into the full Legacy fold. A technical alliance for the Coke Series.
That's pretty interesting, man. I've always heard a lot of great things about those Legacy guys. Very talented, builders and drivers that they have in their fold. So that's an awesome, awesome chance for Roethlisberger. And, he's showing why they gave him that opportunity here tonight. I mean, the way he's been handling this Xfinity car, is definitely shows that he's got talent.
He's been able to lap by, once again, the 11 of Wrecker. So Wrecker, in turn, has fallen to 2 laps down. Lap traffic playing a factor in the battle for second, though. Buckshot Ripka forced up to the top side of the checkup. Looking back at Gilly, seen back there for a split second. He's also still holding on George Ratliff. Outside of that, everyone's just getting to a rhythm. Most of the field can make it on gas here.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely can make it on fuel. Loving what I'm seeing. I'll tell you, whenever I see you talk about Buckshot Ripka, I mean, that just sounds like a old school NASCAR name.
And the funny thing is, if you look up the iRacing profile, I believe he's got a completely different nickname. So I think in this series, he's decided to honor Buckshot Jones or something.
Well, definitely, you love to see it. I mean, to see that kind of classic NASCAR kind of name, and you know, he backs it up too. I mean, a lot of people have that kind of a nickname, and they don't back it up with talent, but he's definitely backed it up. I mean, like, you know, we've talked about, you know, champion. This guy is a champion, and did it in really amazing fashion as well. You know, winning at Legacy, Atlanta, that place was very hard on the tires, and he has shown that he knows what he's doing when it comes to long runs. We'll have to see what he's able to do here, though. I mean, last time by, he was a little bit quicker than Rollinsberg. We'll see if We'll see if that's going to, you know, hold up. Of course, he is being pressured by Tony Ratliff, though. Ratliff was faster than both of them. Walker was faster than everybody. I do believe fastest lap on the track that last time by. But we got a green flag stop.
And that is Crable. It looks like he's making his way to the pit lane. 41 laps into the run for the 87. Remember, that car's been several laps down after being a contending car in the early going. He's jumped out of the car. Lead is almost to 2 seconds again. Roethlisberger starting to let the car roll ahead on the top line before the traffic gets reached. And it's almost the mindset of, do you want to push hard to the point where you put yourself in the hornet's nest? Key point, Todd Gilly, turn 3, just about spun the car out in front of the 5 of Greg Ratliff and just lost the lucky dog spot.
That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate for sure. Ratliff going to be hoping that some sort of caution comes out so he can somewhat win the lottery here. Now, if we do see a caution, though, the guys that are really good on the short run are going to be loving it. Guys like, you know, Michael Walker, I think, going to really love that if we get a caution.
Keep in mind, Todd Gilly, somebody that does have some racing experience from the 2000s. Raced in go-karts on the dirt back in 2004 most recently. But the interesting thing in terms of the information on the Toad Man, who claims to be from the moon, is that he is in his own rock band, the Gilly Brothers Band. 41 years of experience from the Pittsburgh area in the music scene.
Oh, wow. That's impressive, for sure. Well, I mean, I think I've even seen in their Discord, you know, in their community, that they've talked about forming a you know, iRacing kind of band or something like that. It'd be interesting to see, but you know, definitely this series full of personality, and so I'm so glad that these guys, you know, reached out to Grid Vision and were able to, you know, have this opportunity to cover these talented drivers out here.
Especially in the establishing stages, because you mentioned drivers like Ripka establishing themselves as the first champion of its Cup Series. That's something where, down the line, you have a big distinction to saying through the history books when people look back at that. And it's a series, too, that's also extended to Truck Series and a 1987 car series throughout the weeks as well, including the fall.
Yeah, if you think that this car is tough to drive, that car is, you know, really hard to drive. But no, you're right. There is a certain, I'd say, I don't know, trying to think of the word, kind of, it's an illustrious title to have. You were the first champion, you know. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, everybody is always going to remember that, you know, hey, when that series started, Lance Ripka was the first champion. I mean, that's awesome.
When do you say that create a legacy for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely would. As, of course, Rollinsberger has about a 2-second gap now on Ripka He's been running consistently a little over 0.2 faster every lap here as we're closing in on 40 to go. Of course, 42 to go this time by.
He does have some traffic to deal with once again. 9th place, Kwiatkowski. John Wallace, 13th. Here's a look back at Ripka. And Ripka has not been able, or rather has not been too much battled against by Tony Ratliff yet in the midst of this run. The Hoyt archery machine has kept things close enough to pressurize him with 40 laps to go.
No, I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with this 6 machine as well. I mean, because he's I talked about it. He went a lap. He was started. I do believe he was up in 2nd place early in this race. Fell all the way back to the rear of the field essentially, and has worked his way back up. I mean, that's the kind of attitude that wins you championships and wins you races right there. That not giving up kind of attitude. And he's up to 3rd right now. Of course, he does have some, people around him like Ripka, like you said, not too far ahead of him. But Walker not too far behind him as well. So battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is fairly close, and 5th as well, as Joshua Clemens is right there. And, Clemens really shows speed on the longer runs. Last time by, he was like, I think, 2nd quick or 3rd quick on the racetrack. So very fast, I think Clemens is going to really start to come into his own here.
And with everyone so close in the midst of this run for 2nd through 5th, you can argue he might have a chance to get up to as high as 2nd now. It was much more spread apart when the pace went towards direction where he was about 10 seconds back. It's much more manageable when you have your next position within 8/10 and your benchmark possibly within just a couple seconds.
Well, and I think what made it really difficult for a driver like Joshua Clemens and some of these other drivers is the fact is that they had in that last stint, they had a bunch of drivers that were on vastly different tires that were holding them up, and now they don't really have that. They're kind of just all on the same amount of resources at the moment, so they kind of can really race it out. And if you're seeing that right now, that's how close 2nd to 5th are at the moment.
By the way, Adam Recker elected to pit last time by. 5 laps down now is the 11. He'll be on fresh tires the rest of the way at least. Looking at the race leader still. Gap almost 3 seconds. This time he laps George Dibble. And since this 93 found the front of the field, it's been difficult to top him. He led the leaderboard in final practice. At this point, Ripka going to need a little bit of luck on the short run to have a chance to battle with the 93 with the way things are playing out here.
No, you're correct. That 93 is going to be difficult to deal with if you give him track position. But then again, I mean, he's got all this lap traffic to deal with. I mean, something could go wrong at any time, especially at Bristol. The leader is not safe. I mean, that's one thing that is, Bristol, I think, exemplifies, or, it's really a main obstacle about Bristol is traffic. I mean, you could be the leader, but you're going to deal with traffic no matter what.
Take a look back to the battle for 3rd now. Ripka's built up about a couple second buffer as a result of the traffic of Wallace. Michael Walker not able to figure out a way around yet, but Clemens is on the bumper of these 2 Fords. Clemens choosing top side, Walker choosing inside. Walker amongst those trying to sort out with Ratliff how to get around the 90 because Wallace all of a sudden has become a very difficult car to pass.
Yeah, he has definitely been quite the obstacle out here for sure, and that is going to hold up, all the pretty much 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And these guys are going to start to get a little bit, I think, impatient. And, we're already 175 almost into this race. These guys are probably pretty mentally drained and possibly physically drained at the moment. I mean, having to wheel these cars, it is a physical thing to do.
I thought you said fiscally for a second there.
I said physically.
Yeah. Oh, near contact is Recker on the fresh tires. Nearly gets into the door of the 6. Now bunched up behind Wallace. Where does Recker now go? Walker the 2nd and Clemens both backing up, trying to get some space from this.
I guarantee one thing: Roethlisberger does not want to see a caution right now, and this is definitely possibly where we could see one. You can see that 11 is ripping it right around the top. He's definitely creating a little bit of a dangerous situation. He gets into the wall a little bit there.
You can kind of tell Ratliff almost is trying to let the 11 go without letting him go. Wallace again punches the brakes, trying to keep it off the wall.
And this is definitely a very scary situation. I gotta feel like these guys are probably getting very upset, a little bit anxious. But I'll tell you, it's kind of helped out Joshua Clemens, though. Clemens is just taking the 4th spot from Michael Walker. He's running around right around the top side, and it looks like he's going to actually take 3rd away. And all this has allowed Ripka to pull away from this from 3rd on back.
Lap traffic giveth, lap traffic taketh away in its near purest sense. There's Ripka now 3 seconds up. The gap, we'll remember, was about a couple tenths right before that lap traffic.
Keep in mind, though, that Clemens still has to get by the 90. I mean, the 90, these guys have not been able to pass him. So can he have a little bit better? Oh, almost some contact. Oh, my goodness, these guys are getting ready to wreck, it seems like. As here comes Clemens to the inside. This 3rd place position is not going to be settled until they get by this 90.
Here comes Michael Walker, the 2nd. Now he's got the top side, but nowhere to take the run with the 90.
These guys have got to be so frustrated with John Wallace right now. Like, please, just get out of the way.
Oh, and there he goes. Michael Walker, the 2nd, clears by 1 car. Now looks to try and get by the lap car of Wallace. Is this going to be enough of a send for Michael Walker? No. And now it's Clemens up top.
It's crazy. They can pass each other, but they cannot pass the 90. I don't know what is going on here that makes it to where they cannot pass this 90. They're going to definitely have some contact. You can just see the frustration building out here on this track right now.
Oh, and now a bit of a technical blip for a second for Walker. Wallace into the wall. Here comes Clemens, and in fully clear is Walker the 2nd for 3rd. Clemens gets by in 4th. And that leaves only Tony.
And you got to admit, I mean, I understand racing for position, but Wallace is 6 laps down, not racing anybody for position here. And he's just really kind of hurting these drivers. So, I mean, I got to say I don't agree with the way he's doing that, but, I mean, that's his prerogative. But I'm sure I know a lot of these drivers out here on the track probably don't agree with it either. Like, hey, man, you're not even racing for position.
You can argue hear a lot of discussion for drivers on the bottom having that same issue, keep in mind with traffic. It is a big thing. But now Michael Walker the 2nd tries to hold off Clemens. Just 13 to go for your race leader in Zach Roethlisberger. The lead almost 5 seconds up. These drivers about half a track back of this yellow and blue machine.
Yeah, it has been a dominating performance here from Zach Roethlisberger. Of course, he might even possibly lap Jeff Taylor. Jeff Taylor not too far out in front of Zach at the moment. As this battle for 3rd is still not, I'd say, settled. Of course, Michael Walker and Joshua Clemens still right there on top of each other. Here comes Clemens, going to try to see if he can't make something happen. I think the 22 is really trying to protect the top, and that is what you want to do. I don't think, if he doesn't give that top up, I think Clemens is not going to be able to get past unless he uses the bumper.
Remember, though, Walker the 2nd did fall off in these final few laps around this part of the run from the top line. Clemens back to the bottom. 10 laps to go, taken already by the race leader. 9 to go at the stripe.
Yeah, definitely. I think Walker, if he just stays up top, we saw how hard it is to pass on the bottom, but we could see Walker maybe getting to the wall. Something could change here. He just got to hold on for 8 more laps.
Just hoping it stays green as there goes the 11 on the fresh tires. But the battle is still on for 3rd position. Points and only going for the championship in the lines and on the line. Clemens not able to get alongside yet. He's been looking for the diamond, though. Just can't get it.
Yeah, this really just shows how important track position is, but what a job from the 90. He's getting a good run out of the exit, closes in quickly. He's got enough speed he can get to the bumper. I'm just curious if he's willing to do that.
Trying to get back to the diamond, not able to do so. 6 to go. And it seems as though the second it gets within that 1 car length or a quarter of car length even, that's where it gets so difficult to keep it off the 22, or rather at least get that line done with some of the air.
And it could very well have something to do with the air. I mean, of course, this is a shorter track, but it's a fast short track. And so that means air does matter, especially with these Xfinity cars. I mean, they already don't produce a lot of downforce, so if you're in that dirty air, it's going to cause even more turbulent or issues. As, of course, Zach Roethlisberger takes, I do believe, coming to 3 laps to go.
93 looking to complete things here. It's been a dominant run tonight for the Legacy Academy driver. Roethlisberger starting off the season with lightning quick pace, nearly lapping 3/4 of the field at the time of the cautions. 2 to go for him at the stripe. Battle is on for third. Clemens gets alongside. Nothing doing. Michael Walker, the second, holds on. Lap and a half to go in the race.
Yeah, they're fighting to see who's going to talk to us.
Coming up to the white flag this time by Zach Roethlisberger. Looks to close it out from the fastest half mile in the world. Roethlisberger's been the fastest on property tonight. Final set of corners. The first race of the fall goes to the 93. Zach Roethlisberger wins it at Bristol.
What an awesome performance there for him. Just dominant.
Fireworks go off for Ripka. Walker, the second, holds on to the third spot over Clemens. And Tony Ratliff finishes as the last driver in the lead lap. Just 5 on the lead lap. All with the 93 having a rocket ship all night.
Yep, for sure. Remember, this is a fixed series, so he had to drive the race car. It was not anything to do with setup or anything like that. He just is a good driver, and he's going to come to the front stretch to celebrate this big win. Definitely going to be telling his Legacy Academy buddies all about it.
And it looks like he looks to celebrate and get things situated for post-race discussions here tonight here on Grid Vision. And as he gets that sorted, let's take a look towards your unofficial race results here for tonight. Zach Roethlisberger picks up the victory, 160 of 200 laps led over Ripka. Walker the second, Clemens and Ratliff. Jeff Taylor finishes 6th, 1 lap down with Greg Ratliff in 7th. 2 down was Todd Gilly with Adam Kubikowski, 3 laps down in 9th. Rounding your top 10, Eric Beller. Keep in mind, Beller had to serve a penalty under green and still got a top 10.
That's definitely impressive. Of course, 11th place, Adam Recker, who definitely had some issues here in that 11 machine. 12th place, George Dibble. Very much loved that paint scheme. Unfortunately, did not love his performance here tonight. The 13th is the 90 of John Wallace. 14th, George Rincon. 15th, Michael Everhart. 16th, Jay Crabbill, I should say. 17th, Jason Spear. 18th, Chris Williams. 19th, Thomas Wolf had a bad accident early, and I don't believe started the race. Maybe did, but unfortunately got caught up in something. The 20th position of Jamie Bray.
Jamie Bray did try and join into the session to discuss things, or rather to race the car, but didn't get to do so. The 93 looking to burn it down because, well, it took him a few moments, but he has sorted out how to get a Discord server open, so he did take the chance to do some loop-de-loops. Let's take the chance in turn to talk with how your top 3 feel tonight. Let's go 3, 2, 1 the order and let Zach have his burnout moment. Michael Walker the second, having some intense moments in the closing stages. Michael, first things first, top 3 to start off the fall challenge and the chase for the Kailu Glass Cup. How are you feeling after tonight?
Man, I'm a worse lap out, but I'm happy to have recovered after messing up my qualifying effort. So just got fortunate that early caution and made the tires kind of pay off there over the long run.
I was going to say, how difficult was that balance? Because it seemed like you were very tight before the caution period on the long run, but got better as the race went on after that respective caution around the halfway point.
Yeah, it's kind of this race was kind of flip-flop for me. I'm typically a pretty pretty good on long run and slow on the short run. But this race, I was able to fire off pretty good short run and kind of, paid the cost on the long run. We got to run in that 80 to 90 lap fuel run there in the middle of the race.
Well, start of a new series season and still few make it a lot of races to discuss forward. 11 to go for fall series action this season. Your thoughts on the series as a whole? It's second ever series season. And next is Texas.
Yeah, we got a lot of stiff competition in this league, so a lot of clean drivers too. So pulling out a P3 out of the hat, I feel pretty fortunate to get off to a good start here.
Well, anyone you want to shout out to before we close things out with you?
Yeah, my old teammate there right in front of me, Tony Ratliff. He was battling hard, and I was following his tracks, and he gave me some good advice and on the lines there, and I was able to save some tires there in that very last run. So thanks to him, he got me in good position to get a top 3 there at the end.
Michael Walker II gets the job done tonight. He finishes third for Get Her Done Racing. Second spot tonight going to the champion of the first series season in its history, Lance Ripkas with Brian.
Lance, definitely fantastic run for you. I know you probably wanted to win. I mean, considering you won the championship, you probably wanted to get this race started off on the right foot. But you did. You got some solid points, second place. What did you need to do to get up there to Rollisberger? I mean, he just seemed like he was fast on the long run and the short run. What did you need?
More fuel, to be honest with you. I don't know what happened on the last pit stop, but it didn't fill my tank all the way up or as full as it should have, so I had to save quite a bit there at the last of that run.
Well, that explains a lot then. So you weren't really able to run as hard as you possibly needed to get up there. Do you think you would have had something for him if you had got fuel?
I don't know. He was really good on the long run. I was able to hang with him on the short run, but he just kept slowly creeping away from me on those long runs. So maybe, I don't know. It would have been nice to be able to run a little bit harder to see if I could have hung with him.
Well, I know you, of course, won the championship in the Cup Series. Now we're still in the Cup Series, but you were in the next gen last season. Now you're running the Xfinity. What has that transition been like? I think we talked to you in last week's race or after last week's race, and you said the Xfinity car is one of your favorite cars. Is that correct?
That is true. I really enjoy these Xfinity cars. I like how they drive. I guess I drive them well. They fit my driving style pretty good. So, yeah, I'm still feeling pretty confident. I just got to figure out a way to get up there with Zach and contend for some wins.
100%. Do you feel like Texas is going to suit your driving style next week?
Texas has been pretty good to me. Got a few wins there over the last couple of years. So, but yeah, again, confident. Just got to keep the car under me and, try to keep the tires there at the end.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing what you can do there, Lance. Who can we give a shout out to after your second place finish?
The boys at Spartan Racing, Ripka Designs, VMR Wraps, Grid Vision for putting on this awesome broadcast, and all them boys at RGR that run the show in the background.
All right, Lance. Well, thanks, man. We'll see you next week, hopefully, at Texas.
All right, man. Take it easy.
So it's Lance Buckshot Ripken in second, but the first winner of this season, Zach Roethlisberger, picks up the victory and does so, and well, very dominating fashion. Zach, how are you feeling? First win of the season.
Yeah, good one to start it off. It's funny, I'm originally from Michigan, drove down 10 hours this week to Bristol to watch the race and stayed at a buddy's house and actually used his rig tonight. So it's cool to win a race in Bristol at Bristol, so to speak.
So, just curious, which buddy was that? Because there's actually, I think, a few members of Legacy still in Texas. Or rather, Tennessee. I'm mixed up on my states, sorry.
Yeah, not a member of Legacy. The guy's name is Clay Cantrell. He's a good buddy of mine. He's on iRacing from time to time. But yeah, I stayed at his house last night and actually used his rig here for this one.
But on the serious note, when it comes to tonight, what in turn do you feel was that difference, especially with speed on the long run? Because if it went green the whole way, could have lapped the whole field.
Yeah, I think, saving early, I tried to commit to the bottom as early as I could until that right front started to wear and it started to slide, and then I would kind of move up throughout the run. And I think some of the other guys might have went to the top a little earlier than I did, or maybe they just pushed a little earlier on in the beginning of the run. But I felt like, kind of baby the right front on the bottom early in the run, and then, move up as the car would allow. The tighter it got, the better the middle and the top felt. So that was kind of the game plan.
In turn, Texas is up next. Your thoughts on going to the state of Texas? Part of where I mixed up states there. Both start with the letter T.
Yeah, it's a good track. I mean, it's a good iRacing track. We'll say that. I mean, it's hit or miss. So, 1 and 2 will be interesting. 3 and 4, I'm not sure how they'll drive, and these cars haven't driven these cars in a while. I don't know if it's going to be wide open or not, but definitely a challenge to get through traffic if you get back there for any reason. So hopefully we can keep track position there and do the best we can.
Any shout-outs coming in through tonight after getting your first win in the series, or rather on the season?
Yeah, I just want to thank the league admins for putting the race on and doing everything that they do behind the scenes to allow us to race. And thank you guys for broadcasting and taking time out of your day to do this for us. It's always fun to go back and watch, so we definitely appreciate it.
Once again, congratulations going to Zach Roethlisberger, your victor tonight here at Bristol. I'd like to thank him, Buckshot, Ripka, and Walker II for taking the time to speak with us here ensuring post-race coverage here on Grid Vision. And in turn, Brian, your final thoughts on tonight after some intense racing in the heart of the pack, but a very dominant win for the 93.
I mean, I think my final thoughts pretty much hope for the season, the rest of the season. I think it's going to be some really good shows, good racing. I mean, we're very clean. I mean, anytime you have clean racing at Bristol in the start of a season, that means that the rest of the season is going to be very clean as well. So I just hope is pretty much one of my final thoughts here for sure, and definitely can't wait to see what the rest of it holds. I mean, Texas is going to be exciting for sure, and don't get to call a lot of races with this Xfinity car, but we're going to get to call some this season, that's for sure.
And keep in mind, a very busy schedule is coming up here on Grid Vision. To talk things over, let's take a look towards that schedule, because almost every single day of the week has a race. Tomorrow night, it's the start of a new series, the Grid Vision Super Speedway Series. It starts off with Cup cars at Daytona. Coverage starts tomorrow night, 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 for the green. The Champion Power Equipment Truck Series comes up the next day as they start the Fall Series for Model Club. That starts 9 p.m. Eastern. Then the battle for the Thunder Co-op iRacing Series presented by TLC Incorporated on Wednesday night. Then Friday night. From Texas, it's NIS Open, 9 p.m. Eastern top split slot. And a doubleheader. We go to Texas for more coverage of this series, along with the Global Racing League earlier on in the day, 12:30 and 9 p.m. respectively Eastern, all on Grid Vision. All that being said, it's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank you for tuning in for the first race of the fall campaign for the Real Good Racing League and its Xfinity Series in the battle of the Fall Series and the chase for the Kailua Glass Cup. We'll see you next time tomorrow night for Super Speedway action, and we'll see you on Sunday for the second race of the season from Texas. For my co-announcer Brian Britt, for Zendel Collins, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching Grid Vision from Bristol Motor Speedway.